Before use, ensure the area around the circular saw is free of surplus waste, wood or other obstacles that may hinder the safe use of the circular saw. Observe the safety signs associated to the circular saw, ensure you understand them and adhere to their guidance. Before carrying out safety checks, ensure that the circular saw is isolated. Raise the saw blade to its maximum height using the rise and fall hand wheel. This will expose a large area of the blade. Only 12-inch or 315mm saw blades should be fitted to this saw as indicated by the safety sign. Slowly turn the blade towards the operator and inspect for damage. Check for missing or chipped teeth and any resin build-up between the teeth. Check the saw blade plate for any cracks or distortion. The riving knife or splitter should be set so that at table level the distance between the front of the knife and the saw teeth does not exceed 8mm. And its arc follows that of the saw blade. The function of the crown guard is to guard the top portion of the blade which is above the saw table. The crown guard should be set parallel to the saw table and should be free from damage. The table insert should be flush with the saw table. Examine the slot to ensure that there is no damage or debris trapped inside. Only technicians trained in safe use and maintenance of the circular saw should clean saw blades, set or reset the blade guard or adjust the riving knife. Check that the rip fence is free from damage and can be adjusted. Before using the cross-cut table, check that it can be positioned correctly, moves freely and is undamaged. Examine the cross-cut fence for any signs of damage. If the saw is fitted with a take-off table, it must be a minimum distance of 1200mm from the up-running part of the saw blade. If being used by an assistant, there must be sufficient room behind the table. The circular saw can only be used in conjunction with a fully functioning extraction system. As the extraction system serves both the planer and the circular saw, the appropriate gates must be opened and closed before use. If the extraction system is not interlocked with the saw, then it must be switched on before the saw is energised. The circular saw is fitted with a brake motor which will bring the machine to a complete stop within 10 seconds. Remove the padlock from the circular saw isolator, turn the isolator to the on position. Switch on the machine isolator. Insert the key into the key switch and turn to the on position. Press the green start button, the blade will turn. Now press the red stop button and the blade will come to a complete stop within 10 seconds. Press the green start button, the blade will turn. Now depress the mushroom headed foot stop and the blade will come to a complete stop within 10 seconds. Reset the foot stop by pulling the mushroom head out until you hear a click. Ensure that the circular saw is isolated from the power supply before making any adjustments. The ripping fence should be accurately adjusted to not extend more than 50mm beyond the tips of the saw teeth in the direction of the feed. Set the width to be cut by adjusting the distance between the rip fence and the blade using the graduated scale on the guide bar. After locking the fence in position, fine adjustments are made using the fine adjustment handle. Adjust the height of the blade. The crown guard should be set no more than 8mm above the workpiece. Note the position of the operator's hands. Push sticks must be used when making any cut less than 300mm in width, or when feeding the last 300mm of a longer cut. Ensure the blade has come to a complete stop before removing material from the saw. Set the width to be cut, adjust the distance between the rip fence and the blade, check and lock the fence in position. Adjust the rip fence for cross-cutting. That is, the front edge of the rip fence should be set to a maximum of 50mm from the edge of the casting or in line with the root of the teeth. Adjust the height of the blade. The crown guard should be set at no more than 8mm above the workpiece. Note the position of the operator's hand, at least 300mm away from the blade. Note how the rip fence in the cross-cutting position allows a clear pathway for cut material to escape. Push sticks must be used when making any cut less than 300mm in width, or when feeding the last 300mm of a longer cut. Ensure the blade has come to a complete stop before removing material from the saw. Fix the length to be cut using the graduated scale on the cross-cutting fence and fix the length stop. Ensure the cross-cutting fence is set at the calibrated 40mm from the fence edge to the blade. Adjust the height of the blade. The crown guard should be set at no more than 8mm above the workpiece. Hands are supporting the workpiece against the cross-cut fence and at a distance of at least 300mm from the blade. Check the length of the final cut. The rip fence is set at the low position to prevent thinner pieces of material, for example 6mm material, from slipping under the fence. Push sticks must be used when making any cut less than 300mm in width, or when feeding the last 300mm of a longer cut. The rip fence is used in the low position. Set the width to be cut, adjust the distance between the rip fence and the blade. Unlock the tilt mechanism using the handle located at the front of the saw. Using the tilt handle, adjust the angle of the blade. The graduated protractor at the front of the saw indicates the angle at which it is set. Lock the tilt mechanism. Adjust the height of the blade. Note, when using the blade in the tilt position, a great deal of the blade remains exposed. Adjust the cross-cut fence to the required angle and lock in position. Both hands should be positioned supporting the workpiece against the cross-cut fence at a distance of at least 300 mm from the blade. Turn the key switch to the off position and remove the key. Switch off the Curcular Saw isolator. Switch off the Curcular Saw power isolator and replace the padlock. Secure the rip fence so it's not left protruding from the saw table. Adjust the crown guard to its lowest position so as to leave the Curcular Saw fully guarded. The fuse, close the cross-cut fence and lower the cross-cut table for storage. Clear the Curcular Saw table of any debris and dust using the HEPA filter vacuum cleaner.